Hello, guys. I got kicked in the head by the obvious horse. Remember how I've been trying to figure out, and I've thought I had the answer before and been like, about what God did I really pray to as a child? Because I'd go into a church and church would feel empty except for like maybe the gods that were responding to me, and I could never like wrap my hand around it. And I'm really happy, but I'm really puzzled it took me this long to figure out. Excuse me, coffee. But I think what I had was partially shaman sickness. I feel a lot better, and I've had it before, like at journey points in my life, and this time it was over pretty quickly because Freyr is pretty merciful. Now I know I've mentioned him before on the channel. It didn't quite work. Well, there's a difference between accepting something logically and accepting it in your heart, and I was like, okay, I completely surrender at this time. So Freyr and Loki have been running around, having fun and being happy. And so I don't know now, like, how much of it was like Apollo, because they're both sun gods, by the way. Freyr's associated with the sun and fertility and crops and all the little animals in the world. So you remember all the freaking rabbits that were everywhere? It was like Freyr saying, "Hi, sending you rabbits. Here's some more. Want some more rabbits? Here's some more." And I couldn't figure out like all these animal things lately. And Freyr's the Lord of Animals, like the Green Man and things like that from other cultures. Well, that's, you could use that to represent Freyr as well. I've always found the gods don't care. Like if you use a statue of one god to represent another because you can't find or afford one, they're pretty chill. And he has his altar outside because it has the horns. I always thought it was for Loki and his horn god aspect, but he has the horns and the nest on top of the horns. I did not put that there. Robins built the nest and they used it for like 2 or 3 years. They didn't use it for like the last couple of years, but they were there. So that is really, really interesting. And I'm like, that's cool. And I knew before the books came in, I'm like, it's Freyr. It's Freyr. And I was like, no, I'm not accepting this. Because for some reason his story didn't fully click with me before. Yeah, he's a god of fertility and peace and that, but he also is a god of war, which is why he had a war horse and the sword and everything else. And remember, our stories are heavily symbolic, plus they're heavily Christianized, so we don't know what the original stories were, but we know he had a war horse and a sword. And he also had the boar and he had the ship that were gifts from Loki. So, of course, he's going to be fond of somebody that has Loki as a patron. He hasn't said anything about being called a patron, though he is like the god I was always praying to, and he's definitely going to be close. And Freya was just hysterical with laughter because Freya kept telling me, and he kept telling me, I'm like, you're both crazy. I love you both, but you're both crazy. And because I have a terrible temper, you guys have seen that. I go from calm and sweet and loving the world to, ready to go to war in an instant. And I'm like, I don't know why. And apparently that's how his temperament is. It's like he can be the chillest god. All peaceful and zen and peace, love, man. And then go meet my little friend. And so yeah. Yeah, it was interesting because once that part clicked, once the part that he's very extremely peaceful, but he's also a war god, and this is not anything unnatural for him. It's the way he gets when he has to defend, that which he loves, when he has to defend nature, or he has to defend women because he's a protector of women, or he has to defend, like say children or something. Because I said to him exasperation. Today, for example, a teacher took a gun into a school, shoved all the kids out of the room, locked the door, and then there was a gunshot. They don't know if he was attempting suicide or what, but I'm like, this is it. Freyr, somebody has to do something because, the government isn't going to do anything. The government was saying arming teachers, and look what this teacher did with a gun. And I know some of the psychopaths that taught me if they had had a gun, they would have shot kids. They would have straight up shot kids because they were nuts. I'm like, no guns in school. Ever. No knives in school, no guns in school, no rocks in school, no weapons in school. It's school. It's not military school. It's school. And even in military school, you don't take weapons into the classroom. Are you freaking nuts? This is why every other country in the world thinks America's a joke and we're no longer a superpower. Get with it, dude. So, in like Freyr, I found was like, finally somebody's listening. And so, I do have hope, and I'm posting stuff on Pinterest like crazy because I'm like, I do have enough followers that I'm like, I'm trying to shove this out and get people to pay attention and wake up, so when they go to the polls, they're like, hey, what does this person believe in gun control? Now, it's complicated in the US because, one, they all lie. I don't trust any of them. And two, maybe they believe in gun control, but they're pro-life or, something else. So it is super, super complicated. I get that. And we can't always know the truth until they're in office, and then they flip-flop on us. So it's interesting, but honestly, right now, I would elect those kids to fill all the positions because they're more mature than the adults are. But it was wonderful having Freyr come in because he's this real calming presence. And with me, I know it's not associations from ancient times, but he is strong in magic. They will say that. And, he does like healing baths, and he does healing. He does music. He loves music. He will use anything he can grab as an association, because I always loved Firebirds, because the old Firebirds would have the Firebird on it, but I think there was also like a sun emblem on it, so he loved that. And I get colors like gold and red. Some people have said like the colors of the horse, so like green, brown, any color in the world though, because animals come in every color of the world, which also means he's the god of creepy crawlies, which does not make me happy. But, he's the god of everything. He's the god of the world. That was one of his titles. And he's associated with the sun. Are we seeing anything familiar here? I thought we were. And, it was interesting because he led me to a video on Loki, and basically, it's so I've told you guys before, a lot of our stories are heavily Christianized. Loki was a prominent god once upon a time, but the Christians couldn't have any of that. So they completely got rid of him. They couldn't completely get rid of him because we mysteriously have Loki giving gifts to Freyr and Thor and Odin. I mean, they tried to make it sound self-serving or something, but it wasn't. Loki's just very chill, and he will spread the stuff around, and usually Freyr will too. That doesn't mean they won't go to war. They're incapable of fighting. But, they're usually really chill and relax, and I think it took until I was truly ready to accept it was Freyr. And Freyr obviously can use absolutely anything. He was like, hey, you know how you've been wanting like a little animal for, like totem or whatever? Here's the little animal. I give you all the cats everywhere. Have fun. I just kind of looked at him. Freyr's laughing hysterically, and he's like, oh, she gave me permission. And I'm like, he's the Lord of Animals. He doesn't need permission, but he's having way too much fun with this. He's funny and he's sarcastic, and he's really, really, truly enjoying himself, which he should be. And since he already has his altar and everything, I just played some music today and like lit a candle for him, but he'd been hitting me over the head with references. So I know it's him, and he's here, and the shaman sickness wasn't fun, but I'm just glad he's here. I'm happy he's here. You just sometimes get that in your spiritual life as you're going through and you're adjusting to, great adjustments. So it's pretty good to have him here. A lot of things now make sense. A lot of things fell into place. And I have come across Loki and a daughter of Loki in the Magnus Chase novel already, and it's like, yeah, Loki's gonna probably be the bad guy, but Surt was also in it as well, and Surt's like a bad guy, and I'm like, I don't know how you feel towards Surt one way or the other. I mean, I've seen everything from Surt's the crown prince of evil to Surt was Loki's father-in-law, and he's a great guy nobody understands, and I think that it's closer to the truth to say all of our gods were loved by some people and they were feared by some people. It just depended on where you lived and what you thought of them. I think if the Christians would have came in peacefully instead of by force, we might have more intact stories, but we won't know. We can't go back in the DeLorean and find out. So, but I'm pretty sure that if you're working with a god and you know they're not destroying your life, then that's a god you should work with. I don't care what god it is. But it was good to have Freyr come in, and you know, it'll bring some balance and calmness in, which I need, because I actually like things to be balanced and calm. I don't like things to be pure chaos. I might be a Gemini, and we might be all over the place, but it's in an actual fashion that makes orderly, logical sense to us. We're very orderly and logical, believe it or not. It just doesn't appear that way from the outside. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. He really came in on a good time because I had like a lot of things happen lately that weren't so cool, but he really came in at a good time, so I'm glad he's here. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.